Well, here at GB News, we love to hear what you think. Every day we run our poll of the day. Today we are asking you...
Do you feel safe on Britain's streets as 1,100 prisoners are released early? The live results are on the screen now. Currently, 5% of you say yes. 95% of you say no.
We'll take your word for it. They're not on the screen. So what was that again? That was 5% say yes, 95% say
exactly
no.
That.
Right,
exactly that.
OK. So the idea of prisoner release, this is the thing. The public are very committed and very prepared to pay for prison places.
Yes.
Because they want to feel safe. But no government, Conservative or Labour, feels that they can be justified spending money on it. So they're ignoring you. They're not listening to you because you want people banged up. You want the bad guys banged up, but it ain't happening. Final result, we'll announce that Martin Daubney this afternoon on his programme. And for all our latest polls news, how to vote, you go to gbnews.com/poll, and that is where all your info will be.
Yeah. Well, we're joined now by Shadow Secretary of State for Business and Trade of the UK, Kevin Hollinrake. Good to see you this morning, Kevin. And I know that you're here to talk about Labour's workers' rights package. We'll get onto that in a moment. But we've just been talking about this news today that more prisoners are to be freed early in order to ease overcrowding. 1,100 prisoners being released today. What's your reaction to that news?
Well, there's no way that prisoners should be released if they're a danger to society. And I speak as somebody whose mum spent her life trying to rehabilitate prisoners, but only where they were not a danger to society. So the fact that some of these prisoners are going to be released who are serving longer sentences is quite wrong in my view, and we need to deliver more prison places. Eamonn, you're not quite right saying we haven't invested in more prison places. Spent £4 billion, or £4 billion earmarked, already delivered 6,000 prison places, another 14,000 to go. We want to hear from Labour what they're doing about those places so they can lock up dangerous offenders.
But it's, I'm thinking of a polite way to put this, it's a mess. It's a mess, and what you're replacing and what you're introducing, it's not making up the difference. That's the thing, Kevin. We're in a very bad situation. What's the long-term answer? I mean, you're hardly likely to double or treble the places available, are you?
No, it takes time. You're right about that. And it was a mess last time when Labour released prisoners, including 37 prisoners who weren't supposed to be released. They've got to be able to do their job more competently. And we did see some flaws last time. But of course, you're right to say we believe in prison does work. There's some people are a danger to society, so must be removed from society until they can be shown not to be a danger. I'm not sure Labour have the same view of that.
No, I agree with you there, Kevin, because I think we are going into a different area. Things will not be the same after this, and people will be able to commit crime knowing they're not going to be put behind bars. So whether they're going to get confined to their bedroom or what's going to happen, it is going to be a much softer situation than it has been.
Yeah. Absolutely. Prison, to a certain extent, should be a deterrent. If you say to people, where you commit a crime, you're just going to be kept at home for a while, that's not so much of a deterrent. So I have real concerns about that.
But accusations from the Labour Party, I mean, they're laying all the blame at your door, at the Tories. They say this is your mess that they are now having to clear up. And accusations from them that, I mean, this is a scheme, the early prisoners release scheme was started under the Tories. They say that it was actually pushed back by Rishi Sunak in order to get through the general election. And they're having to roll it out now for that exact reason.
Well, they would say that, wouldn't they? But you must ask them, next time you have them on your show, Amy, why did they vote against the extra prison places that we legislated for? I mean, that's the thing. They are, to me, Labour will always be soft on crime. So we need to be tougher on crime where people are a danger to society. But I think some real questions about how Labour will handle this in terms of the extra prison places, the 14,000 extra that we had coming down the line, and in terms of releasing people that are a danger to society, both last time and potentially this time.
Kevin, this Labour's workers' rights package. You're not a happy bunny over this. Why not?
Well, we're all in favour of workers' rights. We legislated to increase the availability of flexible working, things like parental leave, making sure people could keep all the tips they receive from customers. We did all that in the last Parliament. What this bill is about, it absolutely smashes small businesses, puts tremendous burdens on small businesses, which could really wipe them out, which will mean fewer small businesses survive, get through this, and fewer start up in the first place. But also, crucially, this is really a trade union's charter. It gives trade unions massive powers, really, to organise workforce, to enter workplaces where there's no union members and recruit them, and then in fact, abolishes the thresholds they need to take people out on strike, to recognise unions and get them out on strike. So we fear this legislation, which has basically been written by the trade unions, will take us back to the 1970s. And Eamonn, you and I are old enough to remember the 1970s. The UK was not a great place to be.
But the analysis this morning in the papers would disagree with you, wouldn't it, Kevin? They've concluded that the package is pro-growth. That businesses, any hit to businesses would be offset by higher productivity and happier workers, which in turn benefits society, more health and well-being for all.
If you read the impact assessment, it said it could produce growth, but it has very negative consequences for businesses, particularly small businesses. And small businesses are the most important part of our economy. I speak as somebody who was a small business owner, who grew a business. Up to £5 billion of costs, particularly disadvantageous to small businesses. You can't simply sketch over that and say that doesn't matter. It matters hugely. So this is what Labour won't confront, will not acknowledge, and will not provide a carve-out, an exemption for small businesses. Why not? Because they're going to be potentially devastated by this. If you're a small business and somebody takes you to an employment tribunal, as they will be able to do from day one of their employment, those costs of defending that can be catastrophic, whether you've done anything wrong or not. That to me is not right, and many small businesses will now not employ people. As it said in the impact assessment, 17% of firms who were surveyed said they're less likely to hire people, more likely to make job cuts.
OK, I'm afraid I've got to cut you there, Kevin. Thank you very much indeed for outlining those arguments. We've got to leave it there.
Pleasure.